Chapter 1. To please my goddess. I even arranged for her crush to work at my father's company, but I ended up inviting a wolf into our home. Not only was the company bankrupted, but my parents also died in an accident. I caught them in their affair, but they pushed me off the building, leaving me paralyzed from the neck down. The goddess unplugged my oxygen, and before I died, she told me, "My son is his." I was literally angered to death. When I opened my eyes again, I was back to the day I confessed to my goddess. Be together, be together. A noisy clamor came from the side. I opened my eyes, and the scene before me shook a few times, finally settling on a picture I would never forget. A young, beautiful, cold, and charming girl was standing before me. Looking down, she looked down at me, her disdainful eyes focused on the huge, diamond-studded ring in my hand. A group of onlookers were cheering around us. The scene from my memory reappeared, and I felt as if my heart was being gripped by a large hand, the pain so intense it felt like I was suffocating. Wasn't this the scene from my college days when I confessed to my goddess, Feifei? I've been reborn. In my previous life, I was a simp for 4 years in pursuit of my goddess, Feifei. In this relationship, my love was both pathetic and laughable. However, Feifei didn't have eyes for me at all. She only liked Lin Xiufeng. Lin Xiufeng, the son of my family's housekeeper. He grew up in my home and was handsome and dashing. If you didn't know his status, when we stood together, people would always think he was the carefree, rich young master. Even knowing that I was the real rich second generation, Feifei would only call me the landlord's foolish son. This was the difference between me and Lin Xiufeng in her eyes. The funny thing is, I couldn't see reality in my previous life. I stubbornly believed that as long as I had enough patience, I would surely win her heart. To make my goddess happy, I not only put Feifei on a pedestal, but also provided Lin Xiufeng with every convenience I could. When Lin Xiufeng got into trouble, Feifei asked me to take the fall for him, and I ended up being disciplined by the school and didn't even get my diploma. I also brought shame to my family and made my parents lose face in front of all our relatives and friends. But fortunately, Feifei was finally moved by me, and she married me after graduation. And Lin Xiufeng, under my arrangement, entered our family company and became a senior executive. But he was ambitious and ruthless. Within a few years, he not only usurped my father's power, but also secretly transferred the company's assets. He left the company with a mountain of debt. After my parents' accidental death, I inherited the company, saddled with billions in debt. I went to Lin Xiufeng to inquire about the company's operating status, but I unexpectedly caught him and Feifei in their affair. In a rage, I picked up a fruit knife and stabbed at them, but they joined forces and pushed me off the building. I became paralyzed from the neck down. I lingered on in the hospital's ICU. Feifei, in the name of a family member, unplugged my oxygen. Before I died, she leaned close to my ear and told me that she and Lin Xiufeng had been secretly married all these years, and the child she had given me was Lin Xiufeng's. Finally, to provoke me, she and Lin Xiufeng made love on the hospital bed next to mine. I was literally angered to death. Unexpectedly, when I opened my eyes again, I was reborn back to the day I confessed to Feifei. This time, I won't let the tragedy repeat itself. Xia Wenjie, you didn't really think that if you proposed to me with a diamond ring, I would say yes, did you? I'm not that shallow. Chapter 2. Sophia's tone carried a hint of disdain, also showing off her aspirations and aloofness to her classmates. But what about the way your eyes are glued to that ring, refusing to look away? Having been married for a few years in my past life, I know Sophia's personality all too well. Without the rose-tinted glasses, this woman is nothing but a hypocritical bitch. I laughed. Then with a flick of my hand, I put the ring away, and the bouquet in her hand, made of 10,000 in cash. Sophia, you're right. I am indeed a superficial person. Not good enough for you? I hope you can find a good match who is motivated, ambitious, and hardworking. Sophia was stunned. She stared blankly as I took the cash rolled into flowers, pulled them out one by one, flattened them, and put them in my pocket. What? What are you doing? I smiled and said, I'm reflecting. You don't like me, right? I think it was indeed an insult to give you such superficial things just now. Don't worry, I won't do it again. There was also a pile of heart-shaped candles on the ground. A security guard nearby was watching the scene with a fire extinguisher in hand. I waved to the security guard, took the fire extinguisher from him, and sprayed it at the pile of candles. Cough, cough, cough. Standing in the center of the candles, Sophia was choked by the dry powder and coughed repeatedly. When the candles were extinguished, Sophia was half covered in white powder. She stomped her foot angrily. Xia Wenjie, are you crazy? I laughed too. That's right, I am crazy. In my past life, I was not only blind, but also heartless. That's how I let a pair of treacherous vipers like you lurk around me, not only harming me, but also my parents. In this life, I will collect the debt you owe me bit by bit. The fact that I withdrew a confession spread throughout the entire college in just one night. And the whole process of this incident also evolved into several versions. Some said I spent a lot of money to create a romantic scene to confess to the goddess, but was miserably rejected. Others said I spent hundreds of thousands to buy gifts to please the goddess, but she didn't even look at me. No matter what the rumors were, everyone in the college believed that I was still a hopeless simp. It wouldn't be long before I would come up with new tricks to please Sophia. I didn't bother to explain. Time will tell. As long as I ignore Sophia, all the rumors will naturally dissipate. But what I didn't expect was that while I ignored Sophia, Sophia came to me first. After class that afternoon, Sophia blocked me at the entrance of the cafeteria. Give it to me. Sophia held out her hand to me, looking impatient. Give you what? I didn't understand what Sophia meant. The ring you took that night. I raised an eyebrow. What? Regret it? Want to be my girlfriend now? Even if you wanna, I don't want you anymore. Keep dreaming. Sophia looked at me with disdain. I'm just taking back what belongs to someone else. Belongs to someone else? My brows furrowed. I bought that huge diamond ring for $1,200,000. When did it become someone else's? Make it clear. Who are you taking that ring back for? Humph. Still playing dumb. That ring is a family heirloom from Brother Feng's family. I was speechless after hearing Sophia's words. According to her, the diamond ring I bought with a lot of money was actually borrowed from Lin Xiufeng. Where did you hear that? Did Lin Xiufeng tell you? That's none of your business. Anyway, if you have any shame, return the ring to Brother Feng immediately. I was amused. Just then, Lin Xiufeng happened to pass by, and I called out to him. Did you tell Sophia that the huge diamond ring I had was your family's heirloom? Lin Xiufeng frowned and looked at Sophia. Sophia quickly said, Brother Feng, just say it. You don't have to keep trying to spare other people's feelings. Some people don't appreciate it. You spare their feelings and they turn around and try to scam you. This Lin Xiufeng is really a piece of work. He's quite good at creating an image for himself in private. The key is that Sophia, this idiot, actually believes it. He's the son of a nanny. Does he have the means to buy such a large diamond ring? I've already decided if Lin Xiufeng dares to say in front of me that this ring is his, I'll beat him up so badly that his own mother won't recognize him. Boring. Lin Xiufeng didn't say yes or no. He gave an ambiguous answer, put his hands in his pockets, and prepared to leave. Brother Feng, Brother Feng. Sophia called out a few times and finally said to me, Xia Wenjie, it's only because Brother Feng is giving you face. I took out the diamond ring from my pocket. Sophia's words were cut short. Her entire attention was once again drawn to the ring in my hand. A 5-carat diamond. The allure of this gem is not something an ordinary woman can resist. Do you want it? I looked at Sophia, smiling but not smiling. Sophia's face showed a hint of struggle. But before she could answer, I spoke first. Hee, too bad. Even if you want it, I won't give it to you. With that, I casually grabbed a girl passing by and held the ring out to her. Beautiful. I have a gift for you. I hope you like it. What? The girl's eyes widened, her face full of disbelief. And while she was still in shock, I put the ring on her finger. Xia Wenjie, you. Sophia was so angry that her face turned livid. Looking at the huge diamond ring now on someone else's finger, she stomped her foot and finally turned away, full of resentment. Chapter 4. Looking at the girl in front of me, round-framed glasses, slightly frumpy clothes, I chuckled. Who's joking? This ring is for you. Sheng Xiaolan was my classmate. Quiet, unassuming, and easily overlooked. But I knew how stunning she would become in a few years at our class reunion. Her current appearance was a deliberate choice. Underneath, she possessed both beauty and a remarkable figure. rivaling even Su Feifei. More importantly, her father was a powerful figure in our province. I only learned this in my previous life after inheriting my family's debt-ridden company. Desperate, I'd networked tirelessly, finally meeting Sheng Xiaolan again through a mutual friend. She had just happened to be passing by when I was confronting Su Feifei, and I'd impulsively grabbed her as a shield. Now, seeing a flicker of annoyance in her eyes, I backpedaled. It's really for you, to thank you, for the good luck charm you gave me freshman year. Her eyes, behind her glasses, lit up. You, remember that? Honestly, I didn't, but in my past life, she'd mentioned it during one of our meetings. During freshman military training, she'd collapsed from heat stroke after the instructor, believing she was faking, refused her request to rest. Terrified, none of our classmates dared to intervene, except for me. I carried her to the infirmary. Afterward, she gifted me a good luck charm, which I'd carelessly lost. Her demeanor shifted noticeably upon recalling this incident. Still, the ring was too expensive. Despite my insistence, she returned it the next day. Since you won't accept it, let me at least treat you to a meal. Despite our limited interaction, I felt drawn to her. I genuinely wanted to know her better. We began having frequent meals off campus. I'd bring her a few roses each time. Our bond deepened, an unspoken understanding hanging between us. Those who expected me to grovel back to Su Feifei were dumbfounded. Did Xia Wenjie actually stop being a simp? Impossible. He used to worship Su Feifei. I don't believe he'd give up on her. Yet, I hadn't interacted with Su Feifei in a long time. She too seemed unsettled by this change. One day, as Sheng Xiaolan and I were leaving for lunch, Su Feifei intercepted us. Xia Wenjie, are you deliberately trying to provoke me with this? This plain-looking girl? Playing hard to get? You think I'll fall for it? Speechless at her arrogance, I simply ignored her, taking Sheng Xiaolan's hand and walking past. Xia Wenjie, if you go out with her, don't ever speak to me again, she shrieked. But as we walked out the school gates, she could only fume. I assumed she'd finally understand I was no longer her lapdog. But 2 days later, she approached me again. It's my birthday the day after tomorrow. I'm planning a party. Which hotel do you think is best? She seemed to have forgotten her threat. I knew her game. She wanted me to foot the bill, as I had in the past. She was clearly anxious that I hadn't made any arrangements. I almost ignored her, but then changed my mind. The Emperor Hotel is good. Their rooftop garden restaurant has great ambience and food. Then, let's book that. She nodded, then added haughtily. You're coming too, right? Sure, I said with a smile. Following her instructions, I booked the most luxurious banquet hall at the Emperor Hotel. The game was on. Chapter 4. The banquet had already begun. It was evident that many of the invited classmates were very excited, as they rarely had the opportunity to attend such occasions. As the star of the evening, Su Feifei was surrounded by people, accepting their compliments. Upon seeing me, Su Feifei approached me triumphantly and held out her hand, asking, "Where's the gift?" What gift? Su Feifei's expression changed. You came to my birthday party without bringing a gift. I chuckled. Did you misunderstand? Who said I came to your birthday party? I'm just here to eat. I heard a classmate was hosting a banquet here, so I came to see what's going on. All right, enjoy your meal. I won't disturb you any further. My friend is waiting for me next door. With that, I turned and left. Xia Wenjie, stop right there. Xia Wenjie. I heard Su Feifei's furious voice behind me, but I ignored her. Sheng Xiaolan and I were enjoying a candlelight dinner next door. Sheng Xiaolan had dressed up for the occasion, and under the candlelight, she looked stunningly beautiful. I was considering whether to take advantage of this beautiful atmosphere and confess my feelings to her. However, halfway through the meal, the atmosphere was ruined by Su Feifei, who had come looking for me. Her arrogant expression had completely vanished. Seeing me having dinner with Sheng Xiaolan, Su Feifei didn't act sarcastically as she had before. She awkwardly asked me, "Can you help me settle the bill?" I put down my cutlery and looked at Su Feifei with a faint smile. Why should I pay for your meal? But you used to pay before, didn't you? Su Feifei said, as if it were a matter of course. Since you mentioned it, why don't you pay me back for the previous times as well? Su Feifei's mouth hung open. She clearly hadn't expected me to refuse to pay her bill and even ask her to pay me back. Just consider it a loan. Help me settle today's bill. and I'll pay you back later. As long as you help me pay, I won't hold it against you for not getting me a birthday present." I laughed. How had I not noticed before that this woman's train of thought was so peculiar? In the end, it was because I had spoiled her rotten by being too much of a simp. Seeing Sheng Xiaolan's impatient expression, I immediately said, "No loan. Waiter, didn't I say I don't like to be disturbed while I'm eating?" The waiter quickly stepped forward to shoo Feifei away. "Xia Wenjie, do you have to be so cruel?" Feifei shouted at me, then turned to the waiter and yelled, "Don't touch me. I can walk myself." "Fine, don't say I didn't give you a chance. I gave you a chance, but you didn't take it. There are plenty of men willing to spend money on me. I don't need you. Xia Wenjie, remember this. If I ever speak to you again, I'm a dog." Feifei stormed off. Even after Sheng Xiaolan and I finished our meal and went to pay, we didn't see the man Feifei claimed was willing to spend money on her. Seeing her standing at the cashier, desperately calling this brother and that senior for money, I felt happy all the way back. "What's the situation between you and Feifei?" Sheng Xiaolan's expression seemed off ever since she saw Feifei. On the way back, she finally couldn't help but ask, "You wouldn't be treating me as her substitute, would you?" "How could that be?" I quickly took Sheng Xiaolan's hand and said earnestly, "Haven't you felt how I've been treating you lately? I genuinely like you." The opportunity to confess that slipped away during the candlelight dinner was finally back in my grasp. Sheng Xiaolan blushed. The thin layer of pretense between us was finally broken. Sheng Xiaolan and I were officially a couple. They say men are fickle creatures. After getting together with Sheng Xiaolan, I completely lost interest in Feifei. I didn't care how she finally got out of that situation. However, the answer to that question soon came. The next day, after class, when I was accompanying Sheng Xiaolan to the cafeteria, Lin Xiufeng and Feifei stopped us. "Pay up," Lin Xiufeng said righteously. "Pay what?" Seeing Feifei holding Lin Xiufeng's arm, I chuckled. "What? Feifei, have you finally seen the light? Are you ready to pay back the money you owe me?" Feifei was furious. "Xia Wenjie, have you no shame? You deliberately set me up for a loss of over 100,000 yesterday. If it weren't for Brother Feng, I'd still be washing dishes at the hotel." So it was Lin Xiufeng who paid her bill. That explained why he was asking me for money. Lin Xiufeng said, "Xia Wenjie, even if Feifei rejected your advances, you shouldn't have gotten so angry. You deliberately set a trap for her, causing her to be publicly humiliated over 100,000 yuan meal. You're really petty. No matter what, this is your responsibility. If you're a man, pay Feifei back that money." "That's right." Feifei quickly nodded. "Don't tell me you can't afford it." "Huh? I can't afford it?" Looking at the two of them singing the same tune, I couldn't help but laugh. This had nothing to do with paying back money. In the end, Lin Xiufeng was just sore about the 100,000 yuan. So, under the guise of collecting the debt for Feifei, he wanted to get his money back from me. After all, that 100,000 yuan was money his mother had stolen from my family, bit by bit. I shook my head and stared at Lin Xiufeng. First of all, I didn't ask her to spend that money. She chose the hotel. I never promised to pay for her. Secondly, I didn't attend the birthday party, and I didn't participate in any of her expenses. Even if she wanted to split the bill, it wouldn't involve me. And since you paid for her, the debt is between you and her. Isn't it ridiculous for you to ask me for money? Who do you think you are?" Lin Xiufeng was rendered speechless. After all, he was just the son of my family's housekeeper. Feifei wanted to say more, but I cut her off. "As for your question about whether I can afford it, let alone 100,000, I wouldn't even blink at a few 100,000 or a few million. Tomorrow, I'll have my dad donate 10 million to the school. I'll show you whether I can afford that measly meal. 10 million? Feifei's eyes widened in disbelief. Chapter 5. The counterattack officially begins now. I called my father, and the next day, the school received a donation of 10 million. When the school announced this news to all the teachers and students, Feifei's expression when she looked at me had become complex and unreadable. Her eyes showed a bit of hesitation, a bit of awe, a bit of regret, and even a trace of inexplicable emotion. I don't understand where this emotion of hers comes from. But after a few days, rumors started to spread around the school again. They said that the 10 million I had my father donate was entirely because of Su Feifei. I did it to prove my family's strength in front of Su Feifei. When I heard this news, I really wanted to curse. What the hell? Of course, it's impossible that I asked my father to donate money just to spite these two idiots. I want the school's exchange student spots. When I was Su Feifei's lapdog, I wasted 3 years. This also led to my grades suffering badly. With my current credits, I'm afraid it's impossible for me to graduate smoothly. So I set my sights on the exchange student spots. Go abroad for a year of further study, come back with an overseas returnee status, and graduate smoothly, killing several birds with one stone. And the 10 million that my father donated was quickly transferred by the school to the student aid fund account. The school also gave my father's company 4 exchange student spots. Want to go abroad with me? After getting those 4 exchange student spots, I also extended an invitation to Sheng Xiaolan. Go abroad? Sheng Xiaolan hesitated. I don't really want to go abroad. I know she has her own plans. Or rather, her path has already been arranged by her father. Going abroad is not the best choice for her. But we just confirmed our relationship, and I really can't rest easy leaving her alone in the country. I was about to try to persuade Sheng Xiaolan again when Su Feifei actually brought Lin Xiufeng to find me. I heard your dad has 4 exchange student spots. Put my and Feng's names on the list. Su Feifei said it, as if it were a matter of course. I raised my eyebrows. Why should I? Feng is the best student in our school. Now that he has a chance to go abroad, it's even more precious to him. If you don't put his name on the list, you're hindering his future. You can't deliberately trip him up just because I like him. This is called abusing your power for personal gain. You can't be such a petty person. I immediately laughed. I don't care who you like. And what does his future have to do with me? Do you think I'm his father? You. Su Feifei glared at me, but finally lowered her stance. Anyway, it doesn't matter who you give those spots to. As long as you agree to put my and Feng's names on the list, then, if you give me gifts again in the future, I promise I won't refuse them. This woman's thought process is really strange. It's clearly her who needs a favor from me, but the way she puts it, it sounds like I'm the one who needs a favor from her. Impressive, I said directly. You want to go abroad? Sure, as long as you two admit that I'm your father, and call me Dad. Every time you see me from now on, I'll put your names on the list. You. Su Feifei was so angry that her face turned red. She was about to say more, but Lin Xiufeng was already pulling her away. All right, Feifei. There's no need to beg him. I have a way for us to go abroad too. This kind of person, just because he's not good enough himself, he can't stand seeing others better than him. Their hearts are dark. There's no use talking to them. Stop right there. Who are you calling dark-hearted? I looked at Lin Xiufeng and sneered. Lin Xiufeng also looked at me coldly and said, who I'm talking about, you know very well. Is it that hard to admit that others are excellent? Just because you couldn't pursue Feifei successfully, you're using this method to get her attention? If you're really a man, compete with me fairly. Put our names on the list, and let's see who's better under the same conditions. Does it make you feel good to stop me from going abroad and affecting my future? What? I'm stopping you from going abroad? I'm affecting your future? What kind of genius logic is this? Even the students watching the show were shocked. He's so used to being a lapdog that he takes other people's efforts for granted. I mean, Xia Wenjie really raised 2 living dads for himself. Even their thought processes are different from normal people. So the ultimate understanding of rejection is being hindered in one's future. I couldn't help but shake my head, speechless. I told them to get lost. Su Feifei was dragged away by Lin Xiufeng. As for Lin Xiufeng's claim that he had a way to get the exchange student spots, I know what he'll do. Isn't it just asking my dad for those spots? After all, he grew up in my house. My dad actually intended to groom him for a management position in the company. But I won't allow it. My experience in my previous life has already told me that this Lin Xiufeng is just an ungrateful wolf. In order to prevent the tragedy from happening again, I decided to go home this weekend and have a face-to-face talk with my father about Lin Xiufeng and his mother. After class on Friday, I walked out of the school gate alone and got into the Rolls-Royce that my family had arranged to pick me up. However, even after a few minutes, the driver still hadn't started the car. I frowned. Why aren't we leaving? The driver said with a smile. Aunt Lee said that Feng will be going back this week too, and asked me to give him a ride. The Aunt Lee the driver mentioned is Lin Xiufeng's mother, Li Guifeng. When I heard this, I immediately called my father. Change my driver when you get back. Fire the current one. The driver panicked. He turned to look at me at a loss. Why, young master? Did I do something wrong? If I did, please tell me. I'll definitely change. Just then, someone knocked on the passenger window. Lin Xiufeng was standing beside the car. It was near the weekend, and there were many students coming in and out of the school gate. Everyone noticed this luxury car parked at the entrance. Seeing Lin Xiufeng standing beside the car, with his hands in his pockets, he looked like he was enjoying the envious looks from others. Just as the driver was about to open the door for Lin Xiufeng, I said calmly, "Whose driver are you, mine or Lin Xiufeng's?" As the heir to a multi-billion-dollar fortune, every minute of my time is worth millions. You want me to waste my time waiting for a nanny's son? Does he deserve it? The driver finally understood why I was angry. He didn't dare to delay any longer, started the car and sped off, leaving a stunned Lin Xiufeng alone in the wind. As soon as I got home, my mother greeted me. "Xiaojie, you're back? What do you want to eat tonight? I'll have the chef make it for you." Seeing my mother's caring smile, my eyes couldn't help but redden. In my previous life, when she and my father passed away, I was still abroad, accompanying Su Feifei on a shopping spree around the world. When I received the news and wanted to come back, Su Feifei said I was being a downer. She also said that even if I rushed back, I wouldn't be able to see my parents for the last time. What's the difference between a day earlier or a day later? At that time, I actually listened to Su Feifei's nonsense, causing my parents to pass away with regret. And that incident has been a source of deep regret for me ever since. Now, seeing my mother again, my excitement is unimaginable. I hugged my mother and buried my head in her shoulder. Chapter 6. Wiped away the tears on Mom's shoulder, then said with a smile, "It's nothing. Just haven't been home in a long time, missed you." "What long time? It's only been a month." "All right. How old are you to still be so shameless?" Mom scolded me, but the smile in her eyes couldn't be hidden. "By the way, didn't you say Xiaofeng was coming back too? How come I don't see him?" Mom asked casually. I didn't answer, but asked instead, "Where's Li Guifeng?" Mom's face immediately became a bit gloomy. Then she pouted at me and said, "Isn't that her?" Li Guifeng lived in the maid's room on the first floor. The door to her room was open, and the sound of the TV came from inside. I walked over and found her sitting on the bed, watching TV and eating sunflower seeds. Sunflower seed shells were scattered all over the floor. Next to her was a younger maid, who was helplessly cleaning up. Seeing me standing at the door, Li Guifeng quickly stuffed the remaining sunflower seeds into her pocket, then greeted me with a smile. "Xiaojie, you're back? I heard from Fenger that you confessed to Miss Su. How did it go? You must have succeeded, right?" I already told Fenger to help you and Miss Su get together. Don't worry, with Fenger around, you're sure to win her heart in the end." Win her heart? In the past, I would have been very happy to hear such words. But now, these words are the most vicious curse to me. I immediately turned on her. "You pack your things and get out of my house." As soon as I finished speaking, Li Guifeng's face instantly changed. Li Guifeng looked at me in a panic, not understanding why I suddenly lost my temper. "Xiaojie, what's wrong with you? Did Xiaofeng make you angry at school?" Don't worry. Xiaofeng also called today, saying he's coming back. When he gets back, I'll definitely teach him a lesson." Even Mom was a little surprised that I suddenly got angry at Li Guifeng. She came to my side and asked, "Xiaojie, what's wrong?" "What's wrong?" I chuckled, then said, "Mom, don't you think we have a few too many maids in our house? Could it be that there are so many chores that require several people to do them together? Dad's company is implementing competitive hiring and a last-in, first-out system. So why are we so lenient with these maids? Is it because we have too much money to spend?" When Li Guifeng heard this, how could she not understand what I meant? She quickly grabbed the tools from the maid next to her and swept up the sunflower seed shells she had just spat on the floor. While sweeping, she also smiled apologetically. "I know I was wrong. I won't do it again." "Xiaojie, no. Young master, please forgive me this once." Seeing her soften, Mom also signaled for her to hurry up and clean. Then Mom pulled me aside and asked quietly, "Xiaojie, what's wrong with you today? Have you forgotten the relationship between Li Guifeng and our family?" The relationship between Li Guifeng, her son, and our family was very complicated. It is said that when my parents first came here to start a business, they were in a difficult situation. At their most difficult time, they couldn't even afford a bowl of noodles. At that time, Li Guifeng's family ran a small restaurant and gave my parents 2 bowls of noodles for free. Later, Li Guifeng's husband passed away, and she struggled to raise Lin Xiufeng alone. And my parents made a fortune. To repay Li Guifeng's kindness from back then, my parents brought her and her son to our house, and she also helped take care of me when I was still in elementary school. And Li Guifeng often brought this up, to the point that she often acted as if she were our benefactor in our house. But I don't think she's our benefactor. In the previous life, during the 2 years when Lin Xiufeng bankrupted my father's company, my parents' health suddenly deteriorated. At that time, no matter how many tests they did, they couldn't find anything wrong. But their health had always been very good before. It wasn't until I had an accident and was lying in a hospital bed that I learned the truth from Lin Xiufeng. My parents were killed by Li Guifeng with slow-acting poison. So in this life, I have to completely eliminate this hidden danger. Seeing Li Guifeng cleaning while eavesdropping on my conversation with Mom, I pretended not to know. I haven't forgotten, but over the years, our family has been good enough to them. We've been repaying the kindness of 2 bowls of noodles until now. It should have been paid off long ago. But some people can't see the facts clearly and don't know their place. So, because you had 2 bowls of noodles back then, you think you're some kind of big shots? If push comes to shove, we'll give them 100,000 bowls of noodles. That'll save us from having to treat them like royalty and being disgusted by them. Li Guifeng's face turned even paler. Her diligence in cleaning was something I hadn't seen in years. Seeing that I had subdued Li Guifeng with just a few words, Mom couldn't help but laugh. "All right, Mom, this is for you." I took out the pigeon egg from my pocket. When Mom saw it, she couldn't help but pout. "Did you give it to someone else and they didn't want it?" Mom already knew about me and Feifei. I shook my head. "No, I didn't even give it to that person. I just felt that it would be a waste to give a carefully chosen gift to a gold digger. If you don't want it, I'll just throw it away." "You child, why throw it away? Didn't you spend money on this?" Mom grabbed the ring and happily put it on. Then she took a picture and posted it on her WeChat Moments to show off. "A gift from my son, although not as big as the pigeon egg from my husband, it's exquisite." I didn't expect my mom to be so bougie. But seeing Mom so happy, I couldn't help but feel a little sad. How many gifts did I give Feifei before? And what did I get in return? Cold eyes, sarcasm. But just giving my mom one gift, she wants everyone to know about it. What kind of blind eyes did I have before? Li Guifeng finished cleaning and also came over to my mom's side. Looking at the ring on my mom's hand, Li Guifeng's eyes rolled, and then she smiled. "It's still Wenjie's mom who has good taste. She looks beautiful in any jewelry." "Oh my, look at your hand. It's really beautiful. But this ring is a bit too big. It seems a bit overwhelming for your hand shape. If your hand were a little plumper, like mine, it would be perfect. Why don't you let me try it on?" Hearing Li Guifeng's words, I felt extremely disgusted. This woman is starting to gaslight my mom again. Usually, whenever my mom bought new jewelry, bags, or anything like that, Li Guifeng would be there to comment on it. Then she would ask to try it on. Generally, once something got into Li Guifeng's hands, she would say that it suited her better. Because my mom didn't care about these trivial things, Li Guifeng also used this method to swindle a lot of good things from my mom. But now, gaslighting my mom in front of me, isn't she underestimating me too much? Just as I was about to go off on Li Guifeng, my mom spoke first. "Sister Li, this is a gift from my son. No matter how good or bad this ring looks, I won't let anyone else touch it. If you really want to wear one, let your son buy you one." Li Guifeng's expression immediately turned. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. "Ha, well said, Mom. Li Guifeng, from now on, cut out your little tricks. If I hear you taking advantage of my mom again, I won't let you off the hook." Li Guifeng's old face instantly turned as red as a monkey's butt. Chapter 7. At dinner, the chef had prepared a feast, but I had it all thrown away. "Go see the housekeeper for your wages. You're fired," I told the chef. He panicked. "Sir, what did I do wrong? You've worked here long enough. Shouldn't you know what I like? How many dishes on this table are to my taste?" "But you said to cook according to young Master Feng's preferences," he said. Wei Chu aggrieved. The dishes were all Lin Xiufeng's favorites, as I'd instructed. I used to cater to even Feifei's hangers-on, including Lin Xiufeng, but no more. Are you questioning my orders? I asked, tapping the table. No, sir. I'll prepare another meal right away. And I don't like a crowded table. From now on, only my parents and I will dine here. This was aimed at Lin Xiufeng. He and Lin Xiufeng ended up eating in the kitchen. Xiaojia, what's gotten into you? Did that girl upset you again? My mother asked, concerned. No, Mom. I'm fine. I've just seen the light. That green tea bitch isn't worth it. We're rich. I can have any woman I want. Why bother with her? My mother laughed. I'm glad you've come to your senses. Just don't go to the other extreme. She worried I'd become a playboy. Don't worry. I have a new girlfriend. She's wonderful. I'll bring her home soon. You'll love her. Really? That's wonderful. She called my father to share the good news. Lin Xiufeng and Lin Xiufeng walked past, having finished their meal. Lin Xiufeng seemed subdued. Lin Xiufeng muttered childish under his breath. Stop right there. I snapped. What did you say? Lin Xiufeng grabbed his arm. You misheard, sir. He didn't say anything. Mom! Lin Xiufeng pulled away. I said he's childish. He thinks every woman should fall at his feet because he's rich. Feifei rejected him. So now he's taking it out on everyone else. Isn't that childish? I laughed coldly. Lin Xiufeng turned pale, slapping Lin Xiufeng. Shut up. Apologize to the young master. I'm not wrong. Why should I apologize? Lin Xiufeng retorted. If he's so great, let him win Feifei over himself. Stop. I interrupted. First, I'm no longer interested in Feifei. Second, you talk about earning things yourself? That's rich, coming from someone living in my house. Move out if you're so high and mighty. Renting an apartment shouldn't be too hard for you, right? He flushed red, then went silent, his face a mask of stubborn pride. I scoffed. He was just a vain little man. He wouldn't leave. How else would he brag about living in a mansion? Lin Xiufeng dragged him away. Later, I talked to my father about installing security cameras. Why? He asked, puzzled. Don't you think things have been disappearing from the house? I said, now that you mention it. My mother agreed. I've lost several pieces of jewelry. Is someone stealing from us? It's not just about the things. What if someone has ulterior motives, colluding with outsiders? My father agreed to contact a security company. I also shared some promising business ideas gleaned from my past life. He was impressed and promised to discuss them at the next board meeting. The next morning, Lin Xiufeng, as expected, asked my father for a study abroad slot. My father, forewarned, easily refused. Lin Xiufeng was furious, but I was elated. I expected Feifei to throw a tantrum, but she became strangely agreeable, even friendly. I wondered what she was up to. Then, she called, frantic. She'd lost a necklace, a birthday gift from her mother, at our family's hotel. She asked me to check the security footage in staff quarters. Reluctantly, I went to the hotel. The necklace turned up, a simple misunderstanding. Don't bother me with these trivial matters. I'm busy. I snapped. She didn't seem offended. She asked if I was heading back to school. I said yes, and she asked for a ride. I agreed without thinking. Chapter 8. I frowned, about to ask what she was doing, when a familiar voice spoke. Xia Wenjie, you really are just using me as a backup? Stunned, I turned to see my girlfriend, Sheng Xiaolan, standing nearby. I instinctively tried to pull my arm away from Feifei, but she held on tighter. Before I could explain, Sheng Xiaolan ran off. Looking at Feifei's smug face, I realized this was a setup. You did this on purpose? I asked coldly. I just wanted you to see who's really important to you, she smirked. That girl can't compare to me. Those glasses, those frumpy clothes. If you wanted to make me jealous, at least find someone attractive. That ugly duckling is hardly competition. Slap. I backhanded her, cutting her off mid-sentence. She clutched her cheek, staring at me in disbelief. You hit me? For that ugly freak? Xia Wenjie. Have you forgotten everything you said to me? I was blind back then, I said coldly. Don't try these games with me again. You'll regret it. I thought a simple explanation to Sheng Xiaolan would suffice. I was wrong. She avoided me completely. Even when I cornered her in class, she'd skip rather than speak to me. Rumors spread that I was using Sheng Xiaolan as a rebound, a pawn in my pursuit of Feifei. This made things worse. I suspected Su Feifei was behind the rumors, but I didn't have time to deal with her. Determined to clear the air, I intercepted Sheng Xiaolan outside the cafeteria. Xiaolan, please, just hear me out. Even prisoners get a last meal. I was practically begging, mirroring my past behavior with Su Feifei. She turned and walked away, taking the long route back to the dorm. I followed. As she crossed the basketball court, a stray ball hit her. Hey, can you throw that back? A guy called out. She picked up the ball. As she was about to throw it, I stepped in front of her and caught it. The players stopped. One of them, Lin Xiufeng, walked towards me. Is it that hard to throw a ball? He sneered, glancing at Sheng Xiaolan. Are you that insecure that you think your girlfriend and I are having an affair just because she picked up a ball? His friends laughed. I bounced the ball, smiling. Want it? Catch! I threw it hard, hitting him in the face. He was sent to the infirmary. Sheng Xiaolan, myself, and a few other players were taken to the dean's office. The dean, aware of my family's recent donation to the school, sided with me, dismissing the other players' complaints. I wanted to explain things to Sheng Xiaolan, but the dean kept me talking, forcing me to watch her leave. After enduring half an hour of pointless chatter, I excused myself and headed to the infirmary, intending to give Lin Xiufeng another beating. I arrived just as Su Feifei was helping him out. Remembering the hotel incident, I hid. Ouch! That hurts! Lin Xiufeng groaned. Phone, let it go, Su Feifei said. There are better ways to get back at Xia Wenjie. Why bother with that ugly girl? He's just playing with her. He'll dump her soon. No, I don't care if he's serious or not. I'm taking everything from him. He needs to know he's nothing compared to me, except for his family background. So, it was Lin Xiufeng behind everything, with Su Feifei as his accomplice. I slipped away. Later, I checked the home security footage. As suspected, Lin Xiufeng had struck again, stealing 2 diamond brooches from my mother's room. I sent my mother screenshots. She said they were worth tens of thousands of yuan. I told her not to call the police yet. I needed more. I enlisted some wealthy female friends to befriend Su Feifei, drawing her into their lavish lifestyle, fueling her desire for luxury. As expected, she started asking Lin Xiufeng for money. Soon, they were sporting designer clothes and accessories. I also had some friends introduce Lin Xiufeng to underground gambling. Easy money inflates egos and leads to destruction. Nice watch, phone. A real baller. How much was it? Feifei. Is that a limited edition Gucci? I've only seen one before on my friend's 60-year-old girlfriend. Wow, you guys are living the high life. It's nothing. We just prefer to keep a low profile, unlike some people who brag about their rich daddies and make a big deal about donating to the school. I watched their pretentious displays in amusement. Ill-gotten gains never last. I was just letting them enjoy the taste before the fall. When their spending became even more extravagant, I knew it was time. A week later, their designer clothes were replaced with knockoffs. They were pinching pennies, surviving on free soup in the cafeteria, claiming they were on a strict diet. I saw them gulp as I walked past with a full tray of food. They were trying to maintain appearances, but their classmates noticed. Feifei, your bag's a different color. Did it fade? Just a bit dirty, she'd quickly reply. Phone, the clasp on your watch is loose. Is it fake? I dropped it playing basketball. I'll get it fixed, he'd mumble, putting it away. They were pathetic. But Sheng Xiaolan still hadn't forgiven me. And my father's company was facing problems, projects being mysteriously blocked. I suspected Sheng Xiaolan's father was behind it, retaliating for his daughter's humiliation. I needed to win her back, but also make Lin Xiufeng and Su Feifei pay. A week later, Su Feifei called with news. Lin Xiufeng was in a hospital, beaten up by loan sharks. She wanted me to pay off his debt in exchange for her becoming my girlfriend. I refused. I went to the hospital to see him, finding him with his mother. You idiot! Have you forgotten how your father died? I told you never to gamble. Do you want to end up like him? Jumping into a river? I'm sorry, Mom. I'll change. But you have to help me. Why did I give birth to such a fool? I'll figure something out. But you and Su Feifei can't continue like this. Break up with Feifei? No. I love her. You idiot. I don't mean break up. Just keep it secret. Xia Wenjie is obsessed with her. Let them be together publicly. Meanwhile, you get her pregnant. We'll say the baby is Xia Wenjie's. After the child is born, I'll take care of Xia Wenjie and his family. Then the entire Xia fortune will be yours. So, it was Lin Xiufeng's idea all along. I smiled coldly, pocketed my phone, and left. Chapter 9. How could I have been so blind about Lin Xiufeng? My father slammed his fist on the table. It's all right, they weren't like this before, my mother soothed. People change. What should we do? Call the police or fire them? Not yet, I said. They want us dead, so we don't need to be merciful. Let them play their game a little longer. So my friend called. Lin Xiufeng had paid off his gambling debts. Checking our home security footage, I discovered Lin Xiufeng had stolen a jade pendant. An imperial green jade worth millions, enough to put her away for life. I saved the footage but didn't act. I needed to keep playing along with Lin Xiufeng and Feifei. After leaving the hospital, Lin Xiufeng kept his distance from Feifei. She, in turn, shed her Ice Queen persona and began pursuing me relentlessly, even staging a public confession on campus. People gossiped about how she'd gone from being worshipped to being a lovesick puppy. Some even asked for advice on how I'd orchestrated such a dramatic shift in her behavior. Sheng Xiaolan, however, was hurt. I tried to explain, but she wouldn't give me a chance, leaving for a study abroad program. Knowing I had to maintain the charade, I decided to let things cool off between us. I started dating Feifei, flaunting our relationship, especially in front of Lin Xiufeng. His frustrated reactions were immensely satisfying. The next day, Feifei would always have unexplained injuries. Scraped knees, bruised arms, a swollen face. When I asked, she'd claim it was clumsiness, never admitting Lin Xiufeng's jealous rage. A week later, she invited me to a hotel, claiming she was ready to give herself to me. I scoffed internally. I arrived with 2 bottles of expensive wine. She was eager to get down to business, but I stopped her. Let's have some wine first, I suggested. She hesitated, clearly worried about delaying the main event. But her eyes lit up when I mentioned the wine's price. She eagerly poured us glasses. She drank most of it, her gaze becoming unfocused. Now for the main event, I said, carrying her to the bed. She mumbled drunkenly, come on, before passing out. Looking at her, I felt no desire. She seemed utterly repulsive. I removed her clothes, scattered them on the floor, waited half an hour, and left. After that night, Feifei became distant, making excuses whenever I asked her out. I knew why, and I was tired of the charade. I applied for a study abroad program and left the country. 3 months later, she called, saying she was pregnant. Darling, I'm scared. I don't know what to do. I feigned concern. Get an abortion. I'm not ready to be a father. She paused. How can you be so cold? This is our love. I won't abort it. I'm keeping it. Our love? It was Lin Xiufeng's blood flowing through that child. If you want to keep it, fine, I said. My parents are eager for a grandchild. Then come back soon. We need to get married. The child needs a legal father. I can't leave right now. The school is strict. Wait a little longer. Can I stay at your house? School's out, and I'm worried about the baby. She had started her internship and classes were over. A month earlier, I'd arranged for Lin Xiufeng to intern at my father's company as his assistant, a high starting point. I agreed to let her stay at the villa. It would allow me to monitor her and Lin Xiufeng. My parents outwardly doted on their future daughter-in-law, showering her with gifts, but privately complained about her demanding behavior. She acts like a queen, ordering everyone around except Lin Xiufeng. Let her be, I said. Is anyone still causing trouble at the company? My father said things have been quiet lately, good news for him but bad news for me. Sheng Xiaolan's silence meant her feelings for me were fading. I couldn't let that happen. I booked a flight to her city. We'd both chosen to study abroad but in different countries. I waited outside her apartment until she appeared, transformed. She was dressed stylishly, her beauty enhanced, accompanied by a handsome European man. My heart sank. She was surprised to see me, but quickly recovered. What are you doing here? She asked coldly. I came to explain. Is there a point? She glanced at the man. We're over. I don't care about your affairs anymore. Even if we're breaking up, don't I deserve an explanation? Can I at least talk to you? She hesitated, then nodded. Fine. Listen to this first. I played the recording of Lin Xiufeng and Lin Xiufeng plotting against us. What is this? Who are these people? She asked, frowning. I explained everything about Lin Xiufeng, his mother, Feifei, and their scheme. Her coldness melted away. Why didn't you tell me sooner? She asked, her expression pained. I tried, but you wouldn't let me. The misunderstanding was cleared. But the man beside her remained a concern. Lan, who is he? He asked in broken Mandarin. Sheng Xiaolan hesitated, then smiled. He's my boyfriend. My heart leaped. The man smiled and extended his hand. Nice to meet you. You have a beautiful girlfriend. I'm Lan's academic advisor. It seems you have a lot to catch up on. Goodbye. Wait, Sheng Xiaolan called, rushing inside and returning with a book. Here's the book you wanted. I admire your country's culture, the man said to me, holding up the book. I'm trying to learn more about your history. The misunderstanding was completely resolved. He left. Chapter 10. Perhaps it was being in a foreign country together that created a connection between us. That night, Sheng Xiaolan and I slept together, discovering I was her first erased any lingering doubts. Holding her close, I whispered sweet nothings, and she asked about my plans for Lin Xiufeng and his mother. I knew it was time to spring the trap. 3 months later, my studies ended. Feifei, eagerly awaiting my return and our wedding, instead received news of my death in a car accident. My parents, devastated by the news, updated their wills, leaving the entire Xia family estate to Feifei's unborn child. Of course, the accident was a fabrication, a ruse to draw out Lin Xiufeng and his mother. I expected Li Xiufeng to poison my parents, as she had in my past life. I underestimated their impatience. The day after the will was announced, they made their move. The brakes on my parents' Rolls-Royce were sabotaged. Hidden cameras in the garage captured Lin Xiufeng in the act. My parents called the police. Li Xiufeng was arrested, too, charged with theft. The stolen jade alone was enough to put her away for life. Lin Xiufeng was charged with attempted murder and embezzlement, crimes he'd been committing since he became my father's assistant. He was facing decades in prison. Feifei was questioned but denied any involvement in the plot. Lin Xiufeng, loyal to the end, took full responsibility. Due to her pregnancy, the police released her after a brief questioning. When she returned to my villa and found me alive and well, panic flashed in her eyes. You're not dead? Disappointed? I asked, smiling. Of course not. I'm overjoyed, she stammered. I was so worried the baby would be born without a father. I laughed. Whether I'm alive or dead has nothing to do with this child having a father. What do you mean? She asked, her smile faltering. Do I really need to spell it out? You think I don't know who the real father is? He's sitting in jail, awaiting trial. Am I right? You're lying. You're the father. He's your son, the Xia heir. Your parents wrote a will. She became agitated. My parents appeared, holding the will. This will can be changed as long as we're alive, they said, tearing it to shreds. You think I didn't know about your plan with Lin Xiufeng? I never touched you in that hotel. You think I'd believe that child is mine? No, he's yours. He is. Feifei, unable to accept the truth, scrambled for the torn pieces of the will, muttering. He's the heir. He's supposed to inherit everything. You can't go back on your word. She broke down completely. I felt no sympathy. Hearing Lin Xiufeng was calm in jail, I visited him. He was surprised to see me, but quickly regained his composure. Aren't you curious why I'm here? I asked. I have plenty of time to think about things later. Nothing surprises me anymore. So you're not worried. You think your son will inherit the Xia estate, and you'll be released by the time he takes over. He flinched. I don't know what you're talking about. Not curious how your plan was exposed. I smiled, pulling out my phone and playing a video. It was him and a pregnant Feifei having sex in my house. Their conversation was audible. Phone, what if something goes wrong? What if I lose the baby? Don't worry. I asked the doctor. It'll be fine. Even if you do, I'll give you another one after Xia Wenjie returns. You're awful. I watched Lin Xiufeng's face turn ashen. You thought your plan was foolproof? Know why I never came back to marry Feifei? I knew from the start that child wasn't mine. You were played from the beginning. He was a broken man when I left. 2 weeks later, he committed suicide. He couldn't bear the thought of decades in prison with no hope of escape. His mother soon followed. A year later, Sheng Xiaolan, 6 months pregnant, and I attended the opening of our new hotel. A woman with a baby caught our attention. Isn't that Feifei? What happened to her? Sheng Xiaolan asked. Feifei, disheveled and ragged, was scavenging for discarded candy wrappers on the ground. She'd devour any candy she found. Her child cried for some, so she lifted her shirt and began breastfeeding in public. She's lost it, I said. Should we help? She was your first love, after all, Sheng Xiaolan said softly. Don't say that, I interrupted. Compared to you, she's nothing. Let's go inside, it's chilly. I led Sheng Xiaolan into the hotel and instructed security to remove Su Feifei and her child. Call me heartless, but I'd learned my lesson. Let go of the savior complex and respect the fate of others. Reborn, I finally understood. The end.